All right. Before I start talking, let's just make totally sure you can hear me because I don't want to repeat that disaster from yesterday. You can hear me in this scene. You can hear me in this scene. Great. All right. Hello. It's me again. As you might have noticed, yesterday I tried to make an intro, and might I say it was a fantastic intro. I was so pleased with myself until I realized that the microphone was off. So yeah, but now I get a chance to redeem myself and say the things I actually wanted to say. Okay, so basically, Spawn, which is the programming language that I made that converts code into a bunch of geometry dash triggers, which do the things that you describe in your code. That programming language has just received an update, which makes it a lot more stable when it comes to numbers. So to show this off, I made this little calculator demo, and let's just see how fast it is. Because it's not just very fast, it's like literally instant, right? I do like 1, 2, 3 times 1, 2, 3, and that's how fast it is. It's literally instant. And this is like any operation, right? So I can do division instantly. That was not the number I wanted to do, but yeah, it's like instant. And also I can do square roots. That's not instant because it requires a spawn loop. 45 is a bad square root number. Let's do... Yeah, I don't know if this square root is known, but apparently 21 squared is apparently that number that I wrote, whatever it was. So, what we can do with this is we can make a physics engine. Now, I tried this a bit yesterday. The problem was that negative numbers don't work. So if we try to do like 14 minus 122, right? That will work. But now that we got a negative number, nothing will work anymore. So we try to like multiply it by 12, and it's completely wrong and nothing works, right? And we do some other stuff, and then it's just all wrong, right? So we need to fix this before we can start our actual physics, right? So that's the thing I want to start with in this stream. How are you doing? Alright, not as many spammers as yesterday, that's nice. And you can still hear me. Amazing, we're doing about 100 times better than yesterday already. Right, let's do this. So let's just let's start with a level to host our physics engine in, right? Physics. So I'm thinking like Newtonian physics, because we can still not use floating point numbers. We can only use integers. So we'll only have like basic gravity and stuff, but I think it's still good enough for like a platformer game and stuff, which it would be really cool, I think, to have like a number item ID based platformer game. I think that would be really cool. So that's what we'll do. And but yeah, as I said, first we gotta make negative numbers work. So for the occasion, I'm actually not working in the testing place. I'm working in the actual Spawn source code, because I need to actually edit the actual item ID handler in the background in the standard library. So that's what we're gonna start by doing. So the counter is kind of like a class that handles item IDs in the game. And this is where they're defined. They're defined in spawn, not in the source code, which, if that makes any sense. Thank you for the $2. Hello, resident smart boy OGD. I don't know about that, but thank you. All right, so to show off why the negative numbers don't work, we can look at how, for example, the reset counter work, right? So this is a basic function to reset a counter to 0. And the way it works is it goes through, by default this is 16, so it goes through 16 times, and basically the first time it checks is the number 2 to the power of 16, which is like a huge number, but let's just say that let's say instead of 16 is 8, right? Just for example. So 2 to the power of 8 is 256. If the counter is larger than that -1, so 255, then it will subtract that number. So you can imagine if you have a number like 300, first it will check if it's larger than 255. It is, so it will subtract that and we'll get 45. Then it will check if it's larger than the next number down in the sequence, which is like 128. So it's not larger than 128, so we skip that. Then 64, it's not larger than 64, so we skip that. Then 32, it is larger than 32, so we subtract 32. And so on and so forth, and that will actually reset the number to 0. But if the number is negative, it will always be larger than that. No, it will always be smaller than that, right? So it will never actually subtract anything. And even if it did, it wouldn't reset it to 0, because we need to add something to negative number to get 0, right? So actually, we need a totally different algorithm to do that, which I actually have. It's called reset negative. Let's see if we can find it right here. So it's basically doing the exact opposite. It's checking if it's less than the negative of that number, which is the power of 2, and then it adds instead of subtracts. So it's basically the exact opposite. And the way we make that into one function is just like if we check if the number is positive or negative, and if it's positive we do the first one, and if it's negative we do the second one. The problem with that is it uses an extra group, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an option to this counter class that's going to be called something like signed, right? And for now it's going to be a boolean. It's going to be false by default, but if it's true, we will have access to negative numbers. So that's what I'm going to work on now. So just first, I'm going to store the signed in the actual number in the actual counter instance. Like that. And now we can access it from within our functions. So let's work on the reset first, because that's the most simple one. Don't worry if this doesn't make any sense. We'll move on to things that makes more sense in the future. So the reset, if this is signed, we want to do something else than if it's not signed. If it's not signed, we can just do what we did before. Like that. And if it's signed, we can first check if it's more than 0. We do this, otherwise, we do the other one, which was reset negative. So it's actually a different syntax, but that's no problem. So yeah, and then we also need to pass this, which is just a function that can do stuff based on the reset. I'm not going to explain that one, but we just need that there. So basically now we have this, and now this should work for both negative and positive numbers when the counter is signed. How can I learn to use this programming language? There's a link in the description to where you can download it, and there's also a Discord server and a documentation website where you can learn all about it. It's not an existing language, it's a completely new language, although it resembles JavaScript and Rust and a few other languages a lot. Anyways, so now we have this function. Let us move to another function which we need, which is... I think some of these functions actually already work with negative numbers, so we can just move... Let's just check each function. So this is add to. This basically moves one counter to another, as you can see in this example here, if you want to read that. And the way it works is quite the same as the reset, just that it simultaneously as it resets the first one, it adds to the second one. For the negative problem, we'll just making everything positive and remembering if it's negative or not work. Yes, but that is less effective, I think, because I mean, in stuff like multiplying, you need to know the sign of both numbers. But if we just use the negative numbers like from GD, because you can have negative numbers in items, it's just more expensive to calculate. But if you can calculate it, it's more simple to just use the negative numbers inside GD, I think. But that's a good suggestion, Joe, though. Maybe it is more effective, I don't know. So yeah, we need to do basically the same here. So if the thing is signed, we need to do something, otherwise we just do what we did before. So as I said, this is just for moving one counter to another. So if we do this, we just do if self is more than 0, we do this version. Actually, we can do a little trick here. Since both of those, since we do this one, if it's not signed, and if it's signed but it's positive, we can do a little and here and check if it's negative. So if it's signed and negative, then we do the negative version, otherwise we do the positive version. This will actually not use more groups if it's not signed, because the and doesn't calculate or doesn't actually figure out the value of the next one if the first one is already false, if that makes any sense. Anyways, let's make a negative version of this. So we can just use the negative of this x variable and or actually no, we need to check if it's more than or if it's less than or equal to the negative version of that x variable, and if so, we need to add that, because if we add to a negative number, it gets the absolute value gets lower. And then for the other thing, we need to subtract that. So let's do subtracting, and then this needs to have the negative number as well. Great. Let's move on to whatever this is. Oh, this is kind of like this one, but it has multiple factors for each item. It's kind of hard to explain, but we basically do the same thing. If signed and it's not Python, if it's signed and less than 0, we need to do something else. What we use to get the spawn icon on tabs and stuff. Yeah, there's an extension in the Discord server. You can find it in the I don't remember what the channel was named. Showcase or spawn case, I think it's called actually. Anyways, let's just copy this. This is kind of grunt work, but we need this to make the physics engine. So let's just flip all these, make this a plus equals, and make this a minus. And okay, so this is subtract from. So this is actually doing what we were doing up there, I think. No, wait, it's not actually, because it assumes that the number is positive, so we can just reuse that. That's fine. Let's just do the same thing again. Set them less than 0. Let's make a negative version of this. Right, so for this one, this is subtract from, so it's moving one value to another, and then instead of adding it to the other value, it's subtracting it, like you can see in this example. And so since self is now negative, so we're actually adding the absolute value to the other number. So we need to check if it's less than or equal to the x value here. If it is, we're adding it to itself, and then also adding it to this one, I think. And this one is actually negative. Great. Okay, now comes the multiply, right? So this one we need to think about a bit more thoroughly, because multiplying two numbers isn't as straightforward when it comes to negative numbers, right? So we have, first off, if we have a negative number times a negative number, that is a positive number, right? And if we have a negative number times a positive number, that's a negative number. And also, if we have a positive number times a negative number, it's a negative number. So we basically have a situation where we need both of the signs. So let's just do this for the basic number factor first. So this is if we're just multiplying a item ID by a constant number, this is the part that gets run. So this actually might already work, because this factor, as far as I know, can just be a negative number. So I think this might actually already work, because we made this add to function work with the negative numbers. So okay, that's great. So now comes the big one though. This is the one that multiplies two counters together. Yo, am I supposed to time out people that post text walls? Yeah. Probably, I don't know. If you're a moderator for a reason, that's your job to figure that out, I guess. You can just time them out or remove them or whatever. Anyways, so you got it wrong. 1 times 1 is 88.546. Oh yeah, sorry, I forgot about that. That's one weird math thing that I always forget. But yeah, sorry, thanks for correcting me. So yeah, we need to figure this out. So if we have, oh god, what have I done? Yeah, so this needs to be flipped, right? So let's just do all this in one of these again. Just remember to use self.signed, and self is less than 0. And then we'll have the positive version stay how it is. And the negative version will, oh, first off, we'll need to check if this is less than or equal to negative this. And if it is, we add it to that number, and then we copy the factor to there with a factor of x. I think that actually will work when we actually fix this copy to work with negative numbers. So this is actually going pretty well. Now the divide one is a bit more intricate. So so the way this works, division, right, is that we have a result counter, and we check while the number we want to divide is larger than the divisor times this factor here. We subtract that, and then we add that little factor here, which is a power of 2, to the results. And when that's done, what we'll have left is, since this is always larger than the divisor, because when we reach 0, this number is just 1, so it will always be larger than the divisor. And when that happens, if it's a perfect division, it will reach 0, right? So the remainder will be 0. But if it's not, then the result will, or if it's not, the remainder will be larger than 0. And then the result will include the actual division. So to make this negative, first off, we need to check if the number is less than the divisor times the negative of this number. And yeah, that should actually be it. For this case, though, this case is a bit more complicated. So let's just, it's basically the same as this again. For these kind of basic loops that just go through each bits, basically, of the binary representation of this, it will be pretty simple. But I'm more concerned about this, which is a counter divided by another counter. I don't know how that's gonna work, but we'll figure that out. So yeah, this number, we need to check if it's smaller or equal to the negative of this. I can put the negative sign whatever I want, but I'm gonna put it there. And then we'll actually add the positive there, and Will this add negative? I think so. Yeah, I totally will. Because if it's if the divisor is negative, then yeah, this will add a negative number here. With a number I'm just gonna assume this works and move on. Right. So anyways, let's do this one then. So this is a lot more complicated because it's moving. So let's see. So it's moving. It's first checking if this broken variable is equal to 0. I think this broken variable, yeah, it's just basically a break out of loop thing, kind of workaround. So the divisor, which is now a counter, gets copied to the self with a factor of this, but negative, so it's kind of being subtracted, and then the result gets added. No, the number gets added to results. Right, so it's kind of the same thing as we're doing here. If it's equal to 0, then we break the loop. And if it's less than 0, then we basically do the opposite of this. So okay, so since we are actually comparing these two here, since that's expensive with counters, so what we're doing instead is we're subtracting this, and when we realize we're below 0, we just undo that step. Right? I think that makes sense. And then at the end, we're just doing whatever we did here. So I think we can make a negative version. So yeah, we need to make a negative version of all of these, because if self is negative, is less than 0, it will be over 0 if it's negative, right? Or it will be over, yeah, it will over 0. I said the correct thing for once. And this actually needs to be in the else clause. So something like that. Let's just copy all of these in here. And yeah, so let's just first off we need to copy this to so if the divisor is negative, that will work because we'll fix that later. So the divisor gets copied to the number with a positive sign, right? Actually, I think this needs to stay negative. Maybe this, I think the only thing that might actually change is, wait, maybe we don't actually need this whole thing. I think we can just do it a lot more simple by, instead of checking if we're over 0 or less than 0, no, wait, that won't work. Okay, let's just go back for a second. This is a bit confusing. Maybe we'll get back to this one later, actually. I need a good think about that one. Because it's not only the first counter, the main counter I need to account for, it's also the divisor, which is also a counter now. Okay, so some comparison, I think that'll actually just work fine because it's just a subtraction. And then we're just checking if they're equal or not equal. And we're actually already using reset negative here. So I think that'll be fine. Although we don't need, in the positive case, we don't actually need the full reset. So we can just use reset counter, I think it was called. Right, this one already done. This one is already just for the negative case, so we don't need that. Alright, copy 2. This is pretty similar to the add 2. It's just basically adding to 1 and also a temporary storage. And then it's adding the temporary storage back to itself because that part got reset. So if we just do the same old thing and we just check that, I think we got to do a few tests after this. After this one, so we check if this is less than or equal to negative x. So we add x here, we subtract it from here because it's negative. That makes sense. And then we add the negative of this to those. Right, let's do a test or two. So yeah, we can just use this calculator example. Although actually not, because we need okay, sorry about that. We need the calculator level to actually use this. So let's just make a little test here. We make a counter, which is like 100. Or actually, we'll make negative numbers now. So A's counter is negative 100, B's counter is like negative 50, I don't know. And then we wait a second, and then we do A plus equals B, right? Then we need to display this, so I'll display them at 45, and this one at like a bit to the right of that. Let's test that out. See if that works. So the result we want to get is negative 150, right? And nothing is happening. Fantastic. So it's not ideal. I don't know if you can decode these triggers, but let's see what we got here. So it's first checking if the number is larger than this. Oh wait, now I know why. We need to actually use the setting we just made, which is the signed. Oh, you can't see the GD either. Sorry, I was testing in GD, you couldn't see that. But we need to change this to signed equals true. I forgot about that. So I was doing a test in GD, but you couldn't see it because I was not a bit stupid. Anyways, let's just open GD again and actually show you what's going on. All right. So now this should be okay. That's in the right direction, but we're clearly a bit too far. Or oh, wait, maybe we just... Yeah, okay, it's actually correct. This 0 was just making it look like it was negative 1,500 or something. Anyways, that is working. That's fantastic. So we can try it with some other numbers if we just bring these pickup triggers down. So it's basically these two, right, which are setting the numbers at the start. Just move those down. Oh, let's test with some different numbers. Let's do a positive number plus a negative number. But we can't actually set negative numbers. That's a bit irritating. That seems to work correctly. Let's do something like that. Alright, I think that's working. Let's try the multiplication, I guess. Dramatic music in the background for effect. Okay, so let's just do the same but with multiplication. So we can do a bit numbers a bit lower. Alright, let's test this out. So this is actually using 300 groups right now, which is why... Oh, you can't see anything. I just changed that to multiplication, but this is actually using 300 groups, which is a bit of a problem. But I think we can handle that. I think there's also a fix, but it involves some bit hacky stuff. Okay, that is not quite working. Okay, so those were supposed to multiply together, though that is not currently happening. Let's try with some other values. We set the sign, right? Yeah, okay. Let's try with some other values. So if we do a negative times a positive, will that work? No. Okay. If we do a positive times a positive, that will still work, right? Yes, okay. So let's try to fix that real quick. So we need to go back to the multiply. Right here. So it's this part, right, that's messing up. And more specifically, this part. So we're copying the factor. Let's just try this out in our heads, right? So let's say, let's just make a little comment block right here. If self, which is the number of the, which is the counter that's the main counter. If that is negative 100 and the factor is negative 10, let's say that. So we'll start by, let's just say these are 8-bit numbers. So if the number is less than the first one, which is going to be negative 256 or 255, if it's less than or equal to that, which is not, so we can ignore that. It's not less than or equal to 127, right, either. But it is less than or equal to 150 or 63. Or I mean 64. I subtracted 1 from every one of these, didn't I? Anyways, it is less than 64, right? Negative 100 is less than 64. So if so, we will add that. Yeah, so now this will become negative 100 plus negative 64. So actually we can't, the problem here is that we're adding these, which won't help if both of them are negative, right? So we need to subtract them. So we actually need to check if the factor is negative as well. Right. Or do we actually? Maybe not. But we need to copy the factor to... Maybe this is all we needed to. Let's just try this. Let's just try this thing. Just changing one character and see if that works. See if that just fixed everything. Maybe it did. So let's open Geometry Dash. Right, so we get a result. That's not exactly the correct result, but okay. So what's gone wrong here? Let's try some other values again. Just move this down here. So if we try 10 times negative 50, we get nothing. It's not correct. And if we try 10 times 50 again, that will be correct, I think. Yes. So if we try to make this one negative by doing this, that'll not be correct. Okay, we fixed nothing. Great job. Let's try again, I guess. So let's think about this for a second again. So we'll start by let's just make a table of what the self value will be. So we'll start at 100, and then, as I said, when we check it against negative 64, we will subtract negative 64 from negative 100, which will equal negative 26, right? And then we'll add the factor, which is negative 10, to the results. So let's just make a little table of results, which will start at 0 and will now be negative 10. So then this will move on to 32. That's not going to work because this is not less than 32. But it is less than negative 16. So let's try to see if that's going to work. So negative 16, it's going to subtract that. That's going to be negative 10. And then this will be negative 20 now. Then we'll move on to negative 8, which will make this negative 2 and this negative 30. And then this will become 0, and this will become -40, which is not the correct result at all. So what have we done wrong? Where did we go wrong? Well, first off, this is supposed to be a positive number. Actually, we forgot to include this factor, though. But this is not the result we saw, or maybe it was actually. But we saw like -25 or something. Let's try to make this factor -2, though. And yeah, let's try that. Actually, we need to check if the factor is positive or negative. So maybe we actually need two things here. So if the factor is positive, we need to do the one thing, and otherwise we need to do another thing. So if the factor is positive, we need to copy it to the results with a negative value, because the end result will be negative because the self is negative, right? But in this case, we actually need a negative anyways. Okay, forget all this, because if it's negative, then if we copy it with a negative value, it will become positive. I'm just confused as to why it's getting a reset to 0, though. Wait, maybe we actually... Wait, we need this to be signed too. Let's just make signed equals self.signed. For this, we need to do this for every one of these new counters we create within these functions. I think that's one of the problems, at least. Let's just look for these and just change that. There's such a big font, I can't see all the things I want to see. Yeah, so we need to change that here too. And here as well. Why am I typing out the comma? Probably here as well. And definitely here. I'm typing out the comma again. And this needs to be here as well. And here. That might be why no, this is not the operator we actually used. Never mind. This needs to be signed. This needs to be signed. Right, let's try that now. Now that we fixed that. I need the terminal though. Where did I put the terminal? Here. Maybe we can just kill that new terminal. Alright. Let's see if that worked. I'm cautiously hopeful. Alright, so let's open Geometry Dash. Okay, let's try this. Okay, still not working correctly, but let's try with some other values, I guess. We might not need the multiplication for the physics engine, actually, so we could just give up and just start the physics things. But it would be nice to have it working. So -10, let's try times +50. Okay, that is closer. Now it's going too far in the opposite direction. Let's try the other way around. -50, oh, I can't do that. Right, so -10 times +50. Okay, so that is actually working. Okay, that's great news. So when the first number is positive and the second number is negative, that is working. Huh. So that means that the new version, because in this case it's going to the other version, right? That we already had. Wait, let me just explain this in the code. So in the version we had, this is the version we had before, right? This is apparently already working with when the factor is negative. So I guess we'll just try to copy this as closely as possible. So maybe what we had earlier was actually correct, and the problem was that it was just not signed. I think that might be the case. Alright, one last time, and then we'll just start working at the physics engine. It still doesn't work. Also, how is this still increasing in groups? I have no idea. Right, let's just check this out in GD. And if this doesn't work, who cares? Let's just make it bouncing physics ball with just adding and subtracting. I think that'll work fine. Because we only need to subtract per frame, right? Oh, that is definitely not working. Let's try one positive, one negative again. Let's not bother moving this whole thing. So let's just try to make this second one positive. Okay, that's still not working. Right. I have an idea why this might happen though, because it's clearly like adding like 32,000 to it, which suggests that it's adding that here, right? Oh, it's because we need to write -x, right? I'm stupid. All right, let's try this one last time. All right, I forgot that. Okay. He's re-implementing multiplication, right? Yeah. I'm making multiplication work with negative numbers, because we might need that for our physics engine thing that we're working on right now. Hey, that worked, actually. So we got -500. Great. All right, let's make some physics stuff. Let's just forget about the division not working for now. All right. So let's make this and this. So to make a physics engine, we need some things. We need a position variable. And let's just make this one-dimensional for now, right? We'll change this later, but let's just set the position to, let's say 100. And let's say we also need a velocity. Let's set that to 0. And we'll have a ground level that is also 0. And we'll make a object fall down, right? So let's say our object, we can't use that variable as a keyword. Let's call it a body. Let's be physics people right here. Body, that's group 10, okay? And then we will have a loop, right? So this loop will go on forever. This is a runtime while loop in Spawn. One-dimensional. Yeah, we'll have one-dimensional physics for now, but we'll make it two-dimensional later. I just don't want like to have position x, position y, velocity x, velocity y. Let's just keep it simple for now, right? So first we'll check if the position is below the ground or equal to the ground. Then we will set the velocity to 0. Otherwise, we will be falling, so the velocity will be accelerating downwards. Right? This makes sense, right? Because if we're in the air, our speed downwards is increasing. So we're always subtracting 1, right? So to actually, this actually just changes the numbers. So we need, well, first off, we need the position to also change. So position is changed by the velocity. But we need the actual body to change position. So the way we do that with a counter, let's make a little function right here. Move body. The way we do that with a counter is by, let's just say that's x or y in this case, because this is in the y direction we're talking about. Let's just we need to do y. We'll make a clone of that because this is a counter, right? Let's just mark this for sanity counter. We need to clone that variable. Actually, we can just remember to clone it because we don't always need to clone it. So we need to reset this. And now we're using this for each, which I didn't bother to explain. But this basically lets us move while we reset that counter. So let's just have the body variable over here so we can access it from within that macro or function or whatever you want to call it. And we move 0 on the x-axis and then this x variable on the y-axis, which is confusing, but whatever. Right, so when we change position here, we also want to change position here. And the way we do that is just by velocity. Right, so also when we reach the ground, we want to, yeah, bounces. Yeah, we need to do that. So we actually need to set the velocity to, we can't actually have bounces yet because we need, well, we have the multiplication working. I think we might actually be able to do that. So velocity is equal to velocity times something like negative 0.5. Now I said there aren't floating point numbers in Spawn, but this will actually work. This will just not be accurate, but we don't need it to be accurate. So the way this will work is that when we reach the ground, the velocity will flip. So if you look at my mouse cursor, it will go there, and the velocity will be negative, and when we reach the ground, the velocity will suddenly be positive and we will bounce up again. So yeah, and we also need the position to be reset because this might be below. If the velocity is very big, negative, it might reach the ground at a negative number, right? So we need to reset the position to 0, and we also need to move the... By the way, we need to clone this. And we need to move the body back to where it's supposed to be. So... Actually, we need to check what the position is, what the offset of the position is. And we need to move that, but in the negative direction. So we don't actually have the negative operator for the counters yet, but let's just add a factor here. Let's just add that as an optional thing, and let's just multiply that here. So like that, so this will just be negative. Right, so let's see if this works. So, okay. This might work, this might not work, I'm not really sure. But if it works, that's exciting. So what we're expecting is that when we add a object to group 10, it will fall down and then bounce and then come to a stop. So let's just add this object, set it to group 10. Right, moment of truth. It does nothing. Fantastic. All right, what have we done wrong? It does lag. Or maybe that was just my computer for a second there. Right, so it does nothing. That's a problem. Let's try to figure out why. So if we look at this triggers, see if we can get any meaning out of this. So it's clearly moving by a negative amount, but I'm not sure when it's doing that. I'm not sure if it's the movement that's the problem or the math. So let's just try to find out where those math variables are stored, and let's just see if we can look at them for a second. So we need to give them a group for them to be displayed in the editor. Right, so this is clear the velocity, but the position isn't changing, that's the problem. Okay, so we need to figure out why the position is not changing. So I'm pretty sure we did test negative numbers plus negative numbers earlier, right? So this should work. Actually, to make sure, let's set this to a known value. Actually, we don't need to. I'm pretty sure we saw the correct values earlier. Thing is, the body was not moving either. Let's just check that we got the reset correct, because it's clearly using the reset thing. So the reset is where's the reset function? Reset negative. There's reset. All right. So yeah, we're doing the. This should be correct, right? And the reset negative will. Actually, this needs to do the opposite way. But that isn't the problem because it wasn't moving at all. Okay, first off, we can use that trick we've used up until now to make this a bit cleaner. And then so let's just make a little test right here. So we have this move body function, right? If you just comment this out and just try to move using this position variable, that's negative after some delay. Let's test that for a second. So what we're expecting to happen is the block will move down by 100 units instantly. Let's see. Hey Krista, is that you? She's saying lol mod me. I feel like that's Krista, but I can't be sure. Let me just check Discord real quick. Okay, it's her, okay. I'm gonna mod you, hold on. There you go. Alright, anyways. Let's check if this worked. So let's add a block to group 10. That is not moving. Interesting. So now we can read this a bit more intelligible triggers. So first we're checking if the item is larger than this, which is not going to be. So this is clearly using the reset, the positive reset. Interesting. So I assume if we make this positive 100, okay, so it moves with the positive 100. The reset is clearly using the wrong sign of the reset. So let's try and figure out why it would do that. Wait, again. We need to make this signed. Oh my god, I forgot. Let's actually just make it signed by default. I think that's a good feature. Let's just make it signed by default, actually. Because now we've forgotten twice and it's making a lot of problems happen. So let's just do that. Right. That was probably the problem all along. So let's just uncomment this and moment of truth part 2. Let's go. Right, now we're up to 90 groups, which is a good sign because that means it's actually using the signed versions, hopefully. Are the counters signed by default? Now they are. They weren't before. Imagine not using whatever that number is as max value. Yeah, but I need the objects to be manageable. All right, let's try this. Let's see if we get a bouncing box. Okay, it's moving upwards. That's not really what I expected to happen. Why is it doing that? I expected it to fall down. Oh, okay. I guess we're back to the drawing board again. So let's look Oh wait, we have a precision that's negative 100. That's not what we want. Let's try this again. If we're underground already, yeah, so it was just resetting actually. That's a good sign probably that it's working. So now we might see a bouncing box, and it's going to be very exciting if we do. Make Albedo in GD, I don't know what that is. Alright, let's check this. Oh. Let's move it up here. Let's zoom out. Okay, not that far out maybe. Okay. It is falling, but it's clearly not bouncing. This is progress though. We got a falling box. Alright, let's find out why it's not bouncing though. So I'm suspecting that the multiplying by a floating point number is the problem, but let's try and just look at the position and velocity variables. Right, so they both get set to 0. Interestingly enough. Oh, maybe it's because I am moving. No, that's not why. Let's go and test multiplying it by just a negative integer. So actually we're resetting this inside this, so we don't need to do that. And let's try to multiply this by a negative number. So in theory, if we have multiplication right, this will be correct. Let's just check our multiplication code real quick because I don't trust myself. So when we have the factor as a number, it will add to the item with that factor and then add back. Okay, I think that will work if the number is signed. It is suspicious that we didn't see any of that before though. Because you would think that will work with floating point values, but maybe it was just GD being weird. Maybe it needs an integer, or it will freak out or something, I don't know. GD does that sometimes. If you drop a circle onto a ramp, will it roll down the ramp with this thing? Not yet, but maybe in the future. I don't know. I don't know if we'll get that far. I'm just trying to make it bounce. Still not bouncing. Let's look at these again. Right, so let's do another test. Let's just try to multiply by a negative constant and see if that works on its own. So if we just try to, we just have a counter called a, and that counter is a negative number, and we display that counter. And if we multiply that a by a negative number, what will happen? Let's find out. But it's 0 times -1, not 0, so it won't bounce. I think there was a bug where negative times negative is still negative while it's positive. You have to give the counters group ID? No, I don't. That's not the problem. You can always display more values for debug purposes. Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. So let's check this. 0 times -1. I'm pretty sure I didn't do that. So yeah, this is resetting to 0 when we multiply by a negative number. That's not the correct thing. So let's figure that out. So, I have a feeling that the add to isn't really equipped for this, because so let's just draw this out. So when we have a negative self value and we add this to the temporary, it should work though. You would think so, because then the temporary will be 100 and the self will be 0 because we used add to, right? And when we add that back to self, it will be 100. So let's just see if we did the add to right. So if this is self, if this is negative, then we'll check if this is less than the negative number that. If so, we'll add this, and to the items we'll add the negative version of this. Seems correct to me. Although when the factor is negative, let's just check the add to in isolation. So if we add another variable here, let's call it b, and let's just display it next to it. Try to change the velocity to like plus 30 when it hits ground. That's a good idea, but I wanted to figure out why this multiplication isn't working. We can do that afterwards. So add to b and then factor of -1. Okay, let's test that out. I'm not sure if you can hear this background music, but it's very dramatic, which I think is fitting. Okay, now they both get reset to 0. Oh, but why is this starting at -100 though? Okay, so this is actually working correctly. I just set it to a -100, so we added -100 to it, and it went to 0. Now we need to figure out why the whole multiplication thing isn't working. So if we just copy the multiplication, where were we? Multiply, multiply, there we are. So if you just copy this whole thing, let's just try to emulate this. So our temporary value is our b, right? So we'll just rename this to temp. And our self is a. We can't actually use that as a variable name, so let's just rename this. Let's just make this more readable. And the factor is -1. Right, so let's see if this actually multiplies it correctly. I feel like the music is there, but it's just really quiet. You can turn it up a bit. I don't want to be bombarded myself though. Right, let's open GD. Make a custom block for the block that has group 10. That's a good idea. We'll give it a bit of personality. Just want to figure out this multiplication bug first though. Alright, so it's... Oh wait, I have set it to the wrong thing again. Hold on. This is supposed to be 0. 0, okay. Forgot to change that. No. Okay, that's not the correct thing. So if you just look right here. First off, let's just set this to 0 as it's supposed to be. So this is adding a to this, and then it's adding back to a, but it's not doing that correctly. Let's just make a little delay between these. So we can see clearly the individual operations, right? Programming amazing AI, exactly. That's almost exactly what I'm doing. Thanks, GD. So it's doing that. Okay, now it's working. Huh. Is it because of the delay, or did I just have the wrong values before? That is weird. Let's try to remove the delay and see if it works now. Okay, let's try and remove the delay. If this is a delay thing, I'm going to be a tiny bit frustrated because this whole update was to remove all the delay, right? So let's see if this works. Why is it delay based? What? That's frustrating. All right. I wonder how little delay is necessary though. It's got to be 1 frame, right? Because when you need delay, it's usually because GD can't handle you triggering the same thing in the same frame. But in this case, we aren't, right? We're doing two separate operations. So it's gotta have to do with the check. Checking if it's signed and if it's negative. So let's try a different approach. Let's try to, because this operator actually doesn't work just as one instant count trigger. It actually is like multiple toggle triggers and stuff. But if we just try to make it really simple, let's just use a normal instant count trigger. So self.item.if is equal to less than, no, wait, what's it called? Smaller than? Yes, okay. That's a weird name. Past me. Why would you name it that way? Anyways. So then we have the negative version. Otherwise, we have the positive version. So that will be a trigger that checks if it's larger than 0. And if it is 0, we won't do anything, so we won't have a check for that. Right, let's properly format this code. Maybe this will work, I don't know. Maybe we need individual things. At least it's using a lot less triggers. The problem is this will make the code a lot uglier. But maybe we can add a fix for that. Be nice to the people in chat, Specky. Don't insult them. Okay, this actually works. Right, so the thing that was messing it up, I could try to explain it real quick. So the thing that was messing it up is that if we go to the more than operator, right? This is the more than operator. We have this. This looks a bit like what we wrote, but it's a little different. So we have this trigger function right here. And if it's larger than that, it will toggle that trigger function off. So that if this whatever, when we return, if it changes the value so that it is now not more than the value, if that makes any sense, this will still not trigger, because we only want this to trigger if this did not trigger, right? But that was somehow messing it up. I don't know how. I'm just not going to question it and move on. Right, so let's try the whole physics thing and see if it works now. Can we finally get a bouncing ball? Let's see. It's actually using a lot less groups. Or maybe I'm just misremembering how many groups it was using. I'm not sure. Let's see if it worked though. Okay, we need to add a block. Let's make this... Okay, let's just add a block here, just to test. For the moment. Give it some personality later. Alright. Still not bouncing. Right. You would think making a bouncing block wouldn't be that hard, right? But apparently it's harder than you might think, especially when you try to use item IDs. Right, so it's still not, it's still resetting to 0. How about we just do that whole we're using multiplied equals -1, right? So if we do that instead, maybe it will work better. Maybe. Any creative names to the test block? I don't know, Mr. Bouncy Boy, maybe. Why is this using a lot less groups? Suspicious? Oh wait, it's because we're not resetting this. Okay, I think I know why. Here before this level blows up, yeah, this level with this one bouncing block is gonna be so popular. Dude. Okay, we have something going on. I'm not sure if it's the bouncing behavior I was expecting, but you know. Okay, actually, I think I know what's going on. So the problem here is that if we just go back to the programming, Sputniks, can you do logic operators like was mentioned before, like XOR for the sign? I mean, it's much better for the code. The problem with that is that XOR is not like a thing in Geometry Dash, really. That's native, so I'd have to do like a custom implementation, which is just use way more code. But if you mean like as an abstraction of this mess that I had to add up here, where was I? Yeah, if you mean as an abstraction of this, probably I could add some kind of XOR function or something that does something similar to that. Anyways, the problem here is that we're resetting the position, but that's after we reset the velocity. I think that's a problem anyways. What if we just not reset the position? Just do this. So now the position will be inaccurate, but maybe it will bounce, and maybe it will be worth it. Do we all agree on the name Folly? I don't know about that name. Folly? His goal in life is to bounce. He would be very disappointed if his name is just Folly. He does a lot more than that. You'll see when he comes out of his shell, he'll do so much more than just fall. So I think Folly is a very derogatory name for this being we created. Hey, look at that. It's actually also slowing down. Okay, this worked. I have no idea why though, because it's supposed to just flip. That's so weird. Because we just inverted the velocity. Why is it actually decreasing? Now I'm confused. Let's look at the numbers real quick. This is a success though, but it's a success. It's a confused success. So the velocity is actually like decreasing. That's so weird. Anyway, yay, hooray, we got it. Okay, let's make this guy a bit more likable. Or this, I don't know, let's not gender him or her. Or it. Or them. Let's give it a smiley face. give it a smiley face and let's increase the size. And maybe let's give it a need to make him look properly nice. Let's give him some ears. Those are ears. I'm sure you agree that looks a lot like ears. Where are ears? They're like beneath, they're like next to the mouth. See, I know my anatomy. And then he needs some hair. We can give him some anime hair. Actually, let's just make a circle. His hair is like a circle. And then let's make these parts of it like scale down. It's gonna be a piece of art. Does this look like hair? Let's scale it up a bit. Okay, he has an afro, that's fine. Or maybe it's like a Native American head thing. Looks kind of cool though. Give it a gun. Okay, I guess. Sure, let's give it a gun. Keeping on the American theme. How do I make a gun? We need like, let's make a space gun so we don't like, get demonetized. This does not look like a space gun. All right, we need some more neon lights. I think that'll make the space gun. Actually, let's not do that. Let's give it a neon color. We need to do the detail because this is stupid. All right, and then we'll make it a rainbow gun. Now we need to do this for both the colors because GD is a good game. Okay, let's do one more of these. And then we'll have our rainbow. Let's not call it a gun so we don't get monetized. Let's call it a laser shooting device. It's shooting lasers but for scientific purposes. Right. Okay, that's not a rainbow. Okay, whatever. Our laser shooting device is complete. Where should it be? Maybe it should have two so it can symbolize his arms. Actually, it's just its arms. Or his shooting devices. You can decide for yourself. It's kind of like art that can be you can interpret what it means yourself, basically. So anyways, let's see this guy bounce, as we say. Amazing. Wonderful. Let him dual wield? Yeah. Mr. Tooty Shooty? When did his main thing become shooting? I thought his main thing was bouncing. Anyways, we need to make him move around. Right? Where's his nose? That's a good point. Let's give him a nose. There he goes. Perfect. Oh, it's not. The nose fell off. Hold on 1 second. There we go. Let's give him some glow, actually. While we're at it. Ooh, that looks scary. We'll make it a deep red glow. With blending, of course. He's kind of embarrassed, that's why he's red. In his face. Actually, maybe we'll make it like oranges. Maybe like let's make it like pink. There we go, perfect. Now this looks off. Okay, we need to make an outline. I'm spending way too much time on this guy. That's fine. We need to make sure our work is sufficient for our bouncy boy. Perfect. Oh wait, no, this needs to be bigger. This outline needs to be bigger. Amazing. What was he called again? He's a clown now? What do you mean? He's just a regular guy bouncing around. This needs to follow. Okay, next up we need to make him move around, right? With the arrow keys, right? We need to make this an actual controllable character in our imaginary physics-based game. I'm still confused as to why he's bouncing correctly. Anyways, let's save this and let's make him controllable. So the way we do that is we need a X position and a Y position. So first off, let's make this guy let's make it an array. Array with 2 values, and he will start at position 100 and 0. His velocity will be 0, 0. And let's pass this in as an array as well. M, let's call it M for movements. And we need to reset, I guess we can reset them individually. So this will reset the Y position. This will reset the X position. Oh, I need to do that. Oh, I'm opening stuff. Okay. So I'm just reading chat. Doesn't your bouncing object bounce indefinitely? Don't you need to limit the small ultra frequent bounces? Yeah, that's true. I guess we'll do a thing here that just says if the velocity is more than 0 and it's also less than like 2, then the velocity is just equal to 0. Well, that will stop it in the midair. Who cares about where the ground is, right? Because we don't even count for that there, so yeah, who cares? It's just a floating in the air, occasionally bouncing. That's just how he lives. And we can't judge him for that. Or her, or it, or them. I forgot, we need to give this person a proper pronoun. Mr. Spawn Kumper B bouncing. What is the CMPR stand for? Anyways, let's make this position actually make sense. So this needs to be the Y position. And then the Y velocity is changing here. And I don't know why I wrote velocity like that. That's not what that variable is called. So we actually need both our positions to add both our velocities. Okay, let's make the movement code. So my analytics say my viewership rate is going crazy. I don't know what's happening. Anyways, let's import game scene. Let's remember how my own programming language works. There we go. And then first I will make this asynchronous so it doesn't stop everything. And then we'll do on game scene dot button A, which is like the left or right side, I can't remember. This is a trigger function. We will change the X velocity. I can't remember if this is the left side or right side, but let's just assume it's the right side. Because that makes sense, right? Because that's like the main button, so it will be button A, right? I think that makes sense. And then button B will go negative. So the problem now is it won't have any friction. Oh, an error. Velocity is already defined. Oh, I'm trying to, right, need this to be number 1. Oh, another one. Clone is undefined. Yeah, I am stupid. I need to move this in both the directions actually. So let's just clone these here. Okay, let's see if we can move this around. Are you going to make him move in linear or like physics with the speed X? Yeah, so right now it's going to move like probably what you're describing there with speed X. So it's going to look like he's on ice basically, because there's no friction. So let's see what this looks like. Alright. Alright, the buttons are opposite of what I want, but you can see him accelerating, right? So the problem is it doesn't move when we hold the button. We have to like press the button to make him speed up. And then we have to press this a bunch to make him go the other direction. By the way, why isn't it bouncing? He should be bouncing. What's up with that? That's weird. Okay. Let's make it work with holding the buttons and also make it move with let's figure out why it doesn't bounce anymore. Bouncing is very essential to this. So it's clearly moving with the Y velocity. Right? Let's do the holding thing first. So we need to make like button A. Let's just name it that, even though that's going to be confusing. Make that a counter, and let's just keep track of if they're held down or not. So when we press button A, we want to set this to 1. And when it ends, which I think is called like that, we would set it to 0. Or actually, let's use true and false. And the same for button B. We want to set this button B to true. And when it ends, we want to set it to false. How does the language work? Just a bunch of Rust code. I don't know, it's really just a interpreted language that adds a bunch of objects disguised as a compiled language that makes the code into triggers. If that makes any sense to you, please join our server and help us develop this language. If that didn't make any sense to you, please keep watching. Alright, so let's just check for these inside here now. So if we need to convert this to Boolean. If button B is held down, so we figured out that the previous direction thing was the wrong one. So let's just, now we know that button B is the right one, and button A is the left one. So also we need to figure out the bouncing thing, right? So maybe we remove the bouncing thing. I know it's weird because it's supposed to move down, but it's not even moving down. Right, maybe it just fixed itself. I don't know. It just does sometimes. We can try the holding thing anyways, though. The limiter is making it stop. This one? But it should just be multiplying by -1, making the velocity positive again, right? Because ground is 0 and this stars is 100. I just built that twice. I don't know why I did that. Anyways, let's open Geometry Dash. That's my Geometry Dash opening song. Do that every time. It's a tradition at this point. It's a lucky charm. No, the bounce control. Oh, right. Right, yeah, that's true, because... Yeah, you're right. Anyways, let's try the movement code though. Yeah, now we can hold it down. Ooh, this feels cool. So you can't feel this right now, but I'm holding the buttons down and moving it right to left. Okay, you're all screaming at me. I'll fix it right now. Okay. So line 40, yeah, this one. Let's just remove that. We can have him jitter. It'll be fine. He'll have some PTSD or something, but you know, he's still a cool person, or she, or it's I forget to use the right pronoun, or there isn't any right pronoun, so it doesn't even matter. It looks smooth, right? I was thinking something actually with this, because... Okay, still not bouncing. Why is the position 100? Or wait, maybe this is the X position actually. I think this is the X position. Still not bouncing though. So yeah, what I was thinking is recreating a game that I was the first game I ever made or programmed, which is called Bouncy Ball. All right, I made it on Scratch, which is a website for like block programming, and it basically involves a ball bouncing around, and you gotta avoid obstacles and stuff. So maybe if we get this physics thing to work, we can try to recreate that. I think that would be fun. Anyways, let's try to figure out why that still isn't bouncing. I closed GD, I didn't, whatever. So, so the position, the Y position is, the problem is clearly that this one isn't decreasing, right? So what if we just delete this check? And see if it will just infinitely fall. Call the level block. Yeah, but what about the block programming language that Flow is creating? That's also called that. I gotta call it bouncy ball, right? Because that's what the game is called. That's not the one I went to joke on. Hold on, you have a Scratch account? Yeah, it's not named my GD name though. Okay, so it is fouling. That's cool. We needed to stop though. I'm just gonna take a break for a couple of seconds. I'll be back in a bit of time. Just gonna add a little BRB. Alright. I'll see you soon and we'll try to make that bouncy ball game. Alright, I'm back. So yeah, we're trying to make this physics engine, right? This guy's falling, he's not bouncing though. I want to try to show you the game I was talking about that I want to recreate. So I'm just going to bring that up here. Let's try to do this in a way that doesn't reveal all my social security number or something. Hold on. Okay. I'm not actually logged into Scratch. Let's just search for... Okay. Let's try to bring this into the OBS scene. The window capture. Yes, alright. So this is my game. It's called Bouncy Ball. I made it when I was like 12 years old. Okay, let's try to play this. Let's try to make this the proper size. Okay. As you might hear, this is the practice music for Geometry Dash that I use in the background. Alright, let's try this. So you're the bouncy ball, right? Okay, let's turn off the music for a second. Mute this. Alright. So you're the bouncy ball, and you're not supposed to touch the lava. Crazy original gameplay, right? And if you touch the blue thing, you bounce higher. Incredible. Alright, and here's a little challenge that doesn't introduce any of things. Alright, see the trick here? First off, we gotta get this. Okay, there you go. So yeah, we need to not use the blue thing. Clever. Okay, and there's the keys and doors as well, which are amazingly animated, as you can see. Open the door with the key. Nice spelling there. Oh, I died. Okay, I lost a life. What a waste. I think I need that life for the harder later levels. Anyways, let's jump up here. Okay, this is where it gets hard, because now you gotta time your jumps according to the weird bouncy properties of this ball, right? So, right, I messed up right there, for example. You need to do it on the way down. So, there, like that. And there. Alright, and then you need to go back again. Okay, okay, I just lost a life, but that's fine because I can win. So basically this whole game is based on how bad the physics is, which I think is appropriate for if we make a physics engine in Geometry Dash, that we make a game just based on how bad the physics engine is. Right, so for example here you just die instantly because the physics is so bad. Let's try to not die. Oh, okay. And then this is also an example of why the physics are bad. And we need to time this. Oh, and now I'm bouncing all over the place. Come on. There we go, okay. Last level. Can I do this? 1 life. Right, we got the key. Alright. Hey, we did it. Alright. So this is the game. what we need to recreate this is just basically a bouncy ball that jumps on things. Right? So it shouldn't actually be that hard. Although the problem is that our like surfaces, we need to use like collision blocks, which means that we can't like reset based on math. So if we jump too far down the ground, we need to wait to like automatically get up to the ground position we're supposed to be at. Maybe we can use the movement. I don't know, not sure. Alright, let's remove this window. Okay, so what we have now is just a falling dude. But let's try to make him collide with stuff, right? So let's make a little place for him. Or her. Or it. Or them. So if we use block ID 1 for the ground. Oh. We'll make a little area, make a little box. Oh, why is it not copying the... That's weird. Okay, let's just copy this. You can use the X counter position to change the ground position. Yeah, but then I need to store... Then I can't like customize the level. I want like a graphical way to customize the level. I could like check for each X position what's the Y position, but then I can't like have like overhangs. It's gonna be a whole mess. So I think I'm just gonna make a little level like this. Alright, and we need to make this guy have a group as well. Have a collision block. Let's just put it there. That's gonna be his body. Or her body, or their body. Why is block 2 taken? Oh wait, I don't know. I know why. Wait, we can't actually have this use block 1. Never mind, let's delete this. Because this is actually using collision blocks, so we need to start at block 3. But now that's using block 3, so this needs to be block 4, I think. But let's just use this handy plus symbol. There we go. Okay, block 4. Let's make a new level for him. Let's give it some interesting features. You can bounce around in, or her, or it, or them. And let's make this dynamic. Always make your collision blocks dynamic, and give it block 10. Alright. Now, it's falling through the ground. So next step is to make it not do that. Doesn't game scene use group G? Yeah, that's actually true. Or I mean, it also uses block question mark B, which makes it actually not use these. So we didn't actually need to do that, but it doesn't really matter. Alright, let's try to make it not fall through the ground somehow. So, how are we going to do this? First of all, we need to store these values, right? So the ground was block 83, and no, that was the body. All right, let's make the body actually a dictionary. So we'll have his group be 10 and his block be 3. And let's actually abbreviate these because I can't be bothered to type them out all the time. And then let's make the ground for B. You probably don't need to reset the position back to the top. The clipping probably would be so small it doesn't make a difference. I don't think so. I think it will make a difference. But we'll see. We'll just try with this We can test your theory. So let's first just change this to body.g. And let's make a flag that like keeps track of whether the body is in the ground. So let's call it is in ground, and set that to false in the runtime value, and we'll check when the body block. Okay, we need to do the correlation. Body.b is colliding with the ground. When that happens, we need to set this to true, and otherwise, when the collision ends, we need to set it to false. So now we can change this to say if we are on the ground, let's change this to a boolean. Your ad looks sus. Think so? Let's zoom in a bit. Yeah, it kind of does look a bit sus, actually. Interesting. Now I won't be able to unsee that. Thank you. All right. Let's just set the velocity to 0 for now, because that worked better the last time. Okay, let's hope and pray that this works. Actually, maybe we can do a bit of a trick to make sure it actually works, because there were some bugginess with actually no, that won't make any difference. Alright, let's just test this. Oh, an error. Ground was first defined here. Oh yeah, we have another variable that's ground that we don't need. Collision end is not defined. What is it called? Collision exit? Apparently so. If it enters inside a block, since the velocity is just inversed on the next frame, it will be out of the collider. That is true, but if it goes all the way through, well then that wouldn't fix it either. But for now we're just stopping it. Actually, we can try to multiply it as we did before. See if it bounces again. It would be easier to just make a program that converts Scratch project to GD. Would it though? I don't think so. Oh my god, it's working. That is, oh, and okay, we need to make it move a bit slower on the x-axis, but it's actually, oh, okay. Well, we got something working, I guess. That's pretty cool. We really need to make him move slower, though. Or maybe we'll just make the scene bigger. Let's make a bit of a bigger scene just so we can test it. Just scale this up. Epic, I know. Look, we got a bouncy guy. You can see him clip a bit into the thing. That's fine. Also, we need to make the collision work on the x-axis. because when he moves into a wall, he just goes crazy. Right, so I wonder how we do this. Are there any mods in chat that can end this madness? Yes, okay. There's only top collision but no side. Yes, that's the next problem we need to tackle. So to do this, I think the easiest thing we can do is just add some a collision block to the side of him. Because we can't get the make a scroll level. Yeah, that's true, I can do that. Let's figure out this collision on the side first though. So let's make some outer collision blocks that checks for collision on the side. So let's make this 4 and 5. 4 is right, 5 is left. Don't forget. And then we'll use these. Yes, okay. These are group 10, right? Yes. Okay, let's try that. So 4 is right, 5 is left. And let's also make him move a little bit slower. Or her, or it, I'm sorry. Okay, so I guess we need to make one of these for... Actually, I think there's a function that you can use that makes this a bit easier, which is create tracker item, which is a very good name. But I think this just does whatever this is for us. So let's do is in right wall. First off, we need to store these in a variable. So right was group 4. No, it's not. It's 5. Wait, I think I did that wrong. 4 is right, 5 is left. Yeah, but the ground is 4 though. Hold on, I think we need to fix that. I think we forgot that the ground was 4 and assigned the ground block to the thing. That's embarrassing. I'm just kidding. Alright. Let's assign the correct block. So yeah, the ground is 4, so we need this to be like 6. So right is 6, left is 5. Right is 6, left is 5. Let's do this here. Right is 6, left is 5. And let's add tracker items for those. Wait, we already added. Okay. So body dot right touches the ground, and then body dot left, like that. And let's add some checks for these. So will we have a bounce back? That's the question. Maybe that will be cool. What keyboard do you have? I have no idea, but it makes nice sounds and it's nice to type with. Let's make him bounce back so we don't have to deal with that clipping. And is also a bouncy man, so of course he's gonna bounce. Or a woman, or a non-binary person, or item of object. I don't know what is. If it's in the right wall, we want to actually we want to add this here, right? So if it's in the right wall, we want to multiply that by -1, and otherwise we want to add 1. Actually, let's put this thing outside because the multiplication is more expensive, so we want to do that only once. Let's do it like this. And also let's make him move a bit slower on the x-axis, so maybe we can just... Can we somehow add a friction component? The problem is that we need division for that. If we want to divide it by 2, for example, but we can't do that because that's not, we didn't actually make the division work. So let's just ignore that for now, make him move really fast. Uh-oh. A counter must be initiated with a boolean, for example. Okay, so we need to... Right, so this doesn't actually initiate with the boolean. But we can do this trick where we set the bits equal to 1, and then it will work. Boom. Pros of having made the programming language you're using. You always know what the error means. Right, so let's just make this a library called physics. Or physics. That's a good idea. Maybe I'll do that. Although it's not really working at the moment, but maybe when it's stable I can do that. Velocity times 0.9. Yeah, the problem is that the floating point numbers won't work, but maybe that will actually work because floating point numbers are just very inaccurate. They might actually work when there's a constant. Let's try this collision thing first though. Yeah, it's bouncing back and forth. That's cool. It's also bouncing when it's just not in the wall though. So the problem there is that it is clipping into the ground and it's thinking it's in the wall. So let's move these guys up to the ears or something like that. Okay, he's still doing the wrong thing. He's clipping too far into the ground. Oh. I mean, it looks cool, but he is clipping a bit too far into the ground. I don't really know what to do about that though, so let's just move these objects even higher. Okay, now it's not ruining everything, I guess. Okay, let's try to bounce off this wall. That is working. He is getting stuck in there though because the collision blocks aren't high enough. I don't know what to do about that. It's fine though. Actually, we can try and fix it by moving a bit slower and then checking like mid-move if it's colliding or not. One trick you can use to detect walls versus floor is position is velocity, and after that check for collision, then move it on the y-axis and check for collision again. Right, but the problem is that in GD to check collision you need to wait 1 frame. So that means it would jitter up and down. Maybe we'll work with FPS bypass. No, but that's not a problem because it's our loop. But I think we can make a fix for it though. Anyways, let's try to make that friction thing though, because I think that floating point thing will actually work, kind of. So let's try that. So what we do is just this times equals like 0.9. I know 0.9 is maybe a little bit too high because reasons I can't really explain right now. Let's just try that though. First moving on one axis, check collision, then moving on the other axis, check collisions again. Maybe name it Ziff? Why though? What's the lore behind that name? I need a name with good lore. Oh wait, I forgot to close GD. All right, hold on. Need to rebuild the file. Velocity not position. Ooh, yes, you're right. You are right. Thank you. Okay. Final rebuild. Actually, we don't really need the positions. The position variables aren't really doing anything. Whatever. Maybe they will in the future. Invert mouse move velocities to make sure the player gets pushed off the walls properly. Yeah, I am doing that. Okay, we didn't save, so we didn't actually move these side colliders properly. A fix we could do is just make the walls, the side walls, a different collision block. That could be an idea. Then the clipping issue wouldn't really be a thing. Okay, so the problem now is I can't move at all. So I think what we gotta do, because it's clearly not working with the floating point thing. So I think what we'll do is, instead of like moving it up like this, we'll have a max velocity, right? So we'll check if velocity is less than, let's say, like 100. Should probably store that in a variable, but who cares? And if it's more than negative 100. Is 100 too much? Maybe. I think it is. Let's do 30, because this is per like loop, which is like 20 times per second, right? So I think that might be too much. Let's actually make it maximum fall velocity too. Let's store this in a variable. So x velocity max is a very good name. Let's set that to 30. Let's replace these. And max fall speed, let's set that to 100. Someone spamming in your chat on live chat, would you suggest checking that? What does that mean? I don't know what live chat means, but sure. Do you mean on Discord? I don't know. I don't know what you mean, man. Yeah, now I can see everything on live chat. Oh yeah, there it is. Right, that's weird. Let's how do I actually do moderator stuff? The text is like cut out. Hold on. Did that do anything? Wait, I think I did the wrong person. Oh, wait, I did the right thing. No way, okay. Okay, I think I fixed it now. I think it just takes a while. There we go. Okay. It's weird. There's like a delay, so I thought I did the wrong guy, but anyways, let's get back to this. Where did all my mods go? Anyways. Yeah, so we need to check if the velocity is more than negative fall speed. All right, let's try this. And also, was there any more thing we're going to do? I think we're going to try to change the walls to check for collision instead of the size of the character. So let's just make this ground thing. Let's just make these for the ground instead. So let's just do some ground right and ground left. And let's use proper syntax here. And then we'll check for ground right and ground left. And these will check against the body group instead. Okay, let's test this out, see if it works. Let's open GD. What we want to see now is that the movement is limited, right? Okay, I don't think that is limited. But is it limited on the fall though? I think it is. I think the fall limitations are working. Also, I think we need to make the bounce constant. Because if you look carefully, this is how it's supposed to work, but I think it doesn't make sense gameplay-wise. So here the bounce is like this high, and if we go up here, the bounce is much smaller. Right? So the bounce is always the same height. And I think we need to make it the same velocity, if that makes any sense. And also we need to figure out why the X and Y. Oh wait, I need to also change the walls to use the new thing. So let's try that. So what was it again? The right wall was 6. So let's just do something like this, right? Or maybe a bit lower actually. Yeah, actually this will probably have the same problem. But only for a bit of the wall though, so that's fine. If we make them really small, actually maybe that'll fix itself. Like that. Let's make this on a new layer actually. Physics pronounced like physics. So I rotated it and took XIMPH and I got SIF. Or SIF. And more importantly, it sounds cool. Sure. That's not that intuitive for me though, but maybe, I don't know. Maybe if it sticks, we can call him that. So this is going to be the left wall, so which is block ID 5. Let's just populate these walls. I'm not doing the top block in case it clips through. I'm doing the top block here though, because who cares? Alright, let's see if that works. Oh wait, now everything is falling. That's not supposed to happen. Let's remove group 10 and try again. Are these also... Okay, they're dynamic. That's maybe a problem in the future, but for now... Okay, it's not really bouncing through that. Maybe it's the wrong way around. Maybe this is supposed to be on the other side. Let's just try to change that up for a second. Okay, so yeah, this is supposed to be on that side. Okay, let's just flip them around, I guess. The problem is you can't edit them when you select multiple of them, so we need to do that all over again, but that's fine. You know, that's just life. Let's make this one deeper actually. Because that will do something, I think, maybe. Let's just flip this around. Oh. I'm selecting something somewhere else, I think. Now they won't be selected. Cool. Thanks, GD. Let's just save and reset. Must be different colliders. I guess not. Since it just inverses the thing. I guess you're right, actually. Let's just make them all the same. Good call. Let's try that. So yeah, that actually works. I wonder why it didn't work before though. Maybe I was just stupid and it actually did work. Anyways, look at it bouncing back and forth. Today Sputnik's cheated physics test at school. True, I just used my Geometry-Physics simulator to figure out all the answers beforehand. Alright, let's make this a bit more interesting. Can we actually just omit these two now? Maybe we can. Yeah. Okay, cool. I'm back. What the hell is this? Yeah, this is my physics simulation right here. It uses our good unnamed friend with an unnamed pronoun specified, and he is bouncing. Or she, or it, or them. They are bouncing. We need to make them bounce a bit more. I mean, they're bouncing correctly, but actually, maybe we want them to bounce like this. Maybe we can make like a game where you're supposed to like shoot him at the correct angle, and he like bounces around, and it's kind of like golf, I guess. I don't know if that makes any sense. But I want him to. I want the X and Y X movement to be limited. That was what I was supposed to do all along, so I don't know why I didn't do that. I think I just forgot. Is this the real Sputnik's Geometry Dash? Yes. I think so, at least. So, yeah, we only need this one of them is in sidewall. And let's just rename this to side. Right, so when it's in the sidewall. Yeah, so that's why it didn't work earlier, because it was only checking one of them. Anyways, I'm not sure why this is not working. It would be really nice if that one thing that we tried worked, but maybe we can't try and make divisions work though. So if divisions work with constants, you might be able to do this to make friction. So we actually added this here. Not 100% on if this works or not. I think we only changed this. And this. And this. Maybe it does work, I don't know. Let's try it out. So what we would do, let's go to the correct one, is we would say position needs to subtract, I mean the velocity, of course. Needs to subtract velocity divided by 10, for example. I just want to make sure the subtract works correctly, because we had to fix the add earlier, right? With this syntax right here. So let's just go to subtract from, and yeah, let's just add that here. So if it's smaller than 0, let's do this one. This is a really weird music I'm listening to. Let's just restart that, whatever we were listening to earlier. Anyways, let's just do this, and for the other case, we just copy this. The chat is crazy. Yeah, I can see that, but I don't have any moderators, so I can't really do anything about it, other than just banning people indefinitely. Anyways, let's what we're doing again. Okay, I think this will work with the subtraction. And test it out. So now this is using actually not that many more groups. Cool. Let's test it out. Is it slowing down? I feel like it's not really slowing down. Actually, maybe a little bit. No, it's not slowing down. I need to make this a little bit lower so I can actually jump up here. Also, I need to fix those bounces. Okay, let's do that. So the bounces need to actually, instead of just inverting the position, I'm just going to set the velocity to a constant. So let's say the bounce speed is like, I guess 100, I guess. Because the 100 is the max fall speed. Although I have a feeling that the max fall speed is not actually working, but let's just try that. Set it to max fall speed. And also, this thing. Why isn't it working? Maybe you just divide it by 2. Let's try that. Or, yeah, let's try that. So, if we do this, it should move really slowly. We tried that, didn't work. But I mean, okay, so it's bouncing really. Oh, okay, now it's doing weird things. So it bounced correctly on the first one, and then it just does weird things. And the friction is still not working. Cool, and you can't see any of this because I don't have GD open. This is what is happening. It's bouncing once and then not anymore. So I think we should probably just keep the -1 just flipping it. I am wondering why it's not slowing down though on the x-axis. I think it's probably just because our division implementation doesn't work. You could still just invert the velocity and use the biggest value between the inverted velocity and the constant. That is true, but comparing counters is very expensive. But I guess we could try that. So what that would be is multiply by -1. Actually, we don't need to compare 2 counters. Okay, so if velocity is now less than this, we set it equal to that. Oh, Right, let's try that, and actually let's just check over the division thing to make sure it works. Actually, let's just get rid of this. Who cares? Okay. Let's try that. Oh, that is bouncing very high. It's just shooting up. Okay, that is what I expected in the start, but I think that might be why we aren't seeing the limiting of the movement, is because the movement is just way more slow than we think. Okay, let's limit that a bit more. Let's probably close GD. Okay, there we go. So these limits need to be like way lower. So it's like 5 and 10, perhaps. Something like that. Okay, let's try this. Okay, this is way more reasonable bouncing heights. And I think it is limiting the X and Y movements as well. It's still not no friction though, so maybe we could check if it's not touching the right or left keys, and then if so, we can make it just decrease the velocity or increase it based on, you know, if it's negative or positive. Let's just try the bouncing, right? So now the bouncing will be equal on all heights, which is not physically accurate, but it is more fun, which is what we're optimizing for here. Cool. All right. Let's try to make that thing work with the friction. How about having a base jump velocity that always gets approached? If you fall from somewhere really high, you keep a lot of speed from the next jump, but gradually lose it until you reach base speed. Right, so I think it is actually doing that, just that the base speed is quite low. I think that already works within this. We can test that though. So what I want to do is, if the button B is not pressed, or actually we can just keep this whole thing, just say else, and then let's do some magic here and copy this and paste that here, and need to make this negative and this positive. So also we need to check if it's actually a positive value though. if this is over 0. Oh no, if this is less than 0. So this will basically work as a friction. Or not a friction, just friction. Great code, thank you. Actually, we can use else if. Use proper syntax. Like this. Let's test that out. Oh, you can't see anything. Sorry, okay. What we did was this. Okay. I forgot to change the thing around. Sorry about that. Can't see anything. Yeah, I know. Alright, I fixed it now. Let's test it out. So, yeah, now it's stopping. It's actually working, yay. It's not that smooth though, but that's fine. And it's bouncing off this though, just very, not that much at once, which is awesome. Okay, cool. Cool. What's the next step for this guy? Maybe you make a little level. We can make him die, maybe, when we touch a certain block. So to do that, we would have to actually make this guy, okay, let's see. This guy is actually not group 10, he's group 118 now, okay? And what is group 10 is this little X right here. This is what's actually group 10. And let's put it like here, behind the 3 so you can see it. Let's put it over here so you can actually see it. Okay, so let's make him group 10. And now this won't make any sense because now the X will just fall down. But what we can do is make group 118 follow group 10. If you can just find the follow trigger, there you go. We can make group 118 follow group 10 forever. And what this will do is exactly the same as we had before. But now we can use move target. So let's say the spawn position is right here. And the spawn position is group 119. We can use a move target to make him move, like snap back to there when he dies. Or she, or it, or them. So let's make some death things. So let's make this a bit lower. Let's make a little lava pit right here. So lava is group ID 5, sure. So this is lava. Let's make it a different color. Oh, you can't do that. Okay, let's just copy in some of those lava fire things. Perfect, great, okay. So this is lava, as you can clearly see. And let's make him, or she, or her, or it, or them die in the lava and then spawn back here. So that's the goal. So death is basically teleportation, yes. Exactly, just like in real life. So let's see if we can remember all this. So let's say lava is equal to 5, group 5. And the spawn points is group 119. And we can just do one of these checks. Kind of like this one, but with collision. object when the body dot block is touching the lava? If so, we want the body's group to move to spawn points. Okay, cool. Let's try that. This is a spawn thingy? Yes, this is my programming language. Isn't it beautiful? Alright, let's try that. Okay, so let's try to make him die in a fiery pit of death. Hey, look at that. So he spawns back there. Cool. Nice. Alright, let's make a little level for him, right? Let's make some good game design. So let's just make a giant pit of lava right here. Right, giant pit of lava, and it's gonna try to go the other side. Like this. Let's make some blocks for him to stand on, or her, or it, or them. Let's make these side blocks work. Let's make a little platform here. So you gotta bounce between these. Wait, you can't stop bouncing? That's right. You can't stop bouncing. Because why would you stop bouncing? Am I right? So let's try this game. I can't actually. Okay, let's just have it zoomed out. Right, so we're bouncing our way. Oh, we died. Let's try that. Jump is kind of hard. We had to time it with the bounce. Okay, there we go. Okay, now for the big one. Okay, I think we're doing it. Yay! Okay, we won the game. Fantastic. Let's try to get back again. Oh, we died. Cool. Alright, so to summarize, we made a physics-based guy. We made him die. That's basically it. And these are all the triggers. Not that many, actually. Cool. Okay, I think I'll end the stream there. Goodbye.